Malthouse.
Madam Speaker, as the Honourable Lady indicated, we're all frankly getting a bit fed up with the theatrics in this chamber, and if I'm honest with the Minister, it feels like the whole House is being played. He shows up, he mouths the words, full of condemnation and being appalled, and very occasionally the government leaks out just enough sanctions, frankly, I'm afraid, colleagues, to keep the Labour benches from open revolt. And yet, since he last appeared, as others have mentioned, 22 new settlements announced, and the Israeli government has replaced the UNRWA distribution system with a shooting gallery, an abattoir, where starving people are lured out through combat zones to be shot at. If the situation were reversed, we would now be mobilising, quite rightly mobilising, the British Armed Forces as part of an international protection force. So here's my question. What's the difference?
Minister.
Great question. I hope the honourable member will forgive me. He talks of theatrics, where I come to the House and provide an update, and he delivers a speech saying that we should do more. I just want to remind him and remind the House that the Labour government has a profoundly different position towards these issues than the Conservative government before us. We have taken a series of steps, most recently on the 20th of May. Whether...
Order. Minister.
We have taken steps. We will continue to take steps. We have led the international community in the most recent of those steps. And I and we are under no illusion of the severity of the situation that we face.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I concur entirely with the views expressed by the two Privy Councillors on these backbenches that have already spoken. We have for weeks been listening to fine words from the opposition front bench, the government front bench. And we've seen a lot of hand-wringing. And we've seen a vast amount of inactivity. Yeah. And the question everybody is asking in this chamber of the Minister is when? Yeah. Yesterday, the Minister knows this. 4 of us tried to deliver a letter to Downing Street, calling for the immediate recognition of the state of Palestine. Yeah. We weren't even allowed to deliver that letter. The time has come to act now. Yeah. There is a route from Larnaca in Cyprus straight into Gaza. Use it. Yeah. Let's save these children.
Yeah. Minister.
I thank the honourable gentleman for the force of his remarks. I would just remind the House, this is, and I hear so many colleagues say that they are fed up with my words, which is gentle. But on the 20th of May, we announced concrete actions. I am telling the House this afternoon that further actions will come if there are not changes. And I will return to the House when I am in a position to do. I hear everybody's frustration, but let us not pretend that the UK's position has not changed, that it has not continued to change, and it will continue to change while the situation remains as it is.
Tan Singh Desi.
Madam Deputy Speaker.
The scenes emanating from Gaza are harrowing and the suffering is intolerable. And the current situation we are all witnessing simply cannot continue. The level of humanitarian suffering and desperation continues to be unacceptable as children, women and their families continue to suffer while desperately trying to secure food and humanitarian aid. These deaths and casualties near aid distribution centres should never have happened. Can the Minister inform the House what discussions have taken place with Israel about these appalling events and the status of any investigation and what action will follow? Britain must at every level use its influence to bring all allies together who want peace and stability in this region, including neighbouring countries, as this current conflict is hurting civilians and now appears as if a sustainable end to this conflict has moved even further away. Are we working with our Abraham Accord partners and regional allies who also want peace, such as Jordan, Egypt, Saudi and Qatar? Britain must leverage its considerable influence in the region to help stop the endless suffering that we are seeing, to get more aid in, to see the hostages released, and to end this terminal situation with Hamas to achieve a proper, sustainable end to this conflict. And importantly, work towards a better future for the Palestinian and Israeli people. And to that end, can the Minister explain how the government plans to use the upcoming summit in New York to further these aims? On humanitarian aid, the government says that it continues to call for broader aid access, and of course we support that. But are there practical and specific proposals for the opening of individual crossings and entry points, and have these been presented directly to the government of Israel? The Minister will know that previously my noble friend Lord Cameron, working with allies, did secure commitments from the government of Israel to open up the Erez crossing and the port of Ashdod to get aid into Gaza. And at that time, he will also know that Israel agreed to extend the opening hours of the Karim Shalom crossing point. And we were able to achieve commitments just to increase the number of trucks entering Gaza, which naturally saw an increase in vital aid supplies, food and medical aid for innocent Palestinians. On British aid sitting in the region, the Minister has said in a written answer to me on Monday, and I quote, "Quantifying how much aid awaiting entry into Gaza is difficult due to the complex operating environment and limited real-time data, which we absolutely can appreciate. But what more can he do to secure practical information as to where UK aid is, who we can work with to move aid to key locations, and what more Britain can do to ensure that UK aid gets to those who are desperately in need of our support?" We also know that multilateral institutions, including the World Bank and others, are working on serious plans to deal with immediate as well as long-term issues to support the recovery and reconstruction of the economy in Gaza and the West Bank. What is the government doing to support that work, and what engagement has he had with those organisations? Madam Deputy Speaker, 58 remaining hostages still remain in captivity and now on 607 days of their cruel captivity at the hands of Hamas. They must be released. We are aware of initiatives put forward by the United States and that the latest proposals have been rejected by Hamas. So what pressure is the government now exerting on Hamas to get them to reverse their opposition to these plans? And on the West Bank, Madam Deputy Speaker, the government signed an MOU with the PA on the 28th of April, which we've debated in the House. Since that signing, can the Minister update the House on the PA's progress on reform and governance? Because it is credible governance that is required for long-term stability. On settlements, our position as it was in government, and that position is well understood. Settlements are not helpful for achieving long-term peace, and we'd urge Israel, for its part, not to take steps that could make a two-state solution more difficult, and to use its legal system to clamp down on settler violence. We support a two-state solution that guarantees security and stability for both the Israeli and Palestinian people. And finally, Madam Deputy Speaker, we want to lift people's eyes to a better future for the Israeli and Palestinian people. And to do so, Britain must actively bring our long-standing perspective and influence to bear in the region with all our allies.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I thank the Shadow Foreign Secretary for her important questions. I can confirm that we are working closely with our allies, both in the region and beyond it, on this devastating situation. I saw colleagues from Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Qatar in the Madrid conference 10 days ago, and I will be continuing my consultations with them over the coming days, as is the Foreign Secretary. She rightly asks about the status of the ceasefire negotiations. I'm sure she is aware I called on Sunday for Hamas to return to those negotiations. There has been some promising indications that they are doing so, but this remains a very delicate situation, and I will update the House when I'm in a position to do so with more solid information. We, of course, want those ceasefire talks to proceed with speed. We want a full release of all hostages. We want a permanent ceasefire, and we do not want Hamas in control in Gaza, and that is the objective of this government. The Shadow Foreign Secretary also asks the important question about where UK aid is and how much has gone in, and I'm grateful for her understanding on those points. I fear much of it remains in many of the humanitarian distribution centres outside of Gaza, blocked as it was when I saw it with my own eyes in Egypt.